The webinar today is hosted by my employer, Nexer. We've been doing MDM and PIM on the Stibo Systems platform for many years, but also have our PDX team that I have invited here today with the Customer Success Manager, Kristyn, Ceruti, Rubet. And I've also invited Alexander Osha from Stibo Systems, who work with the PDX and the development of that solution. So I won't be talking as much in this webinar because we have fantastic people knowing everything about the PDX, why you should use it, what it is, and what's going on with the PDX in the nearest future and so on. So with no further ado, I will start asking Alexander to present yourself, maybe saying a few words on who you are and what you do, and then maybe you can give the word over to Kristyn.
Sounds good. Hey folks, I'm Alex. I am in the product management organization here at Stibo Systems. I've been here for about almost 7 years now. In the new year, it'll be 7 years. And I've been focused on syndication and have been part of the PDX team since day one. I came from Wayfair, which gave me sort of that initial love for data and business process improvement. And sort of I learned a lot of the lessons from the retail perspective that I was able sort of to carry over into syndication in terms of thinking what gives the retailer the most value and what empowers the suppliers, the actual brands and manufacturers to get the best business outcomes when they're getting their data across to the retailers and other channels they're working with. Fun fact about me, I live in a log cabin in Maine. So I am, it's all snowy outside, very cozy here. So yeah, that's me. Kristyn, tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Alex, I'm picturing you like in a Christmas card right now. That sounds so lovely. So hey everyone, my name is Kristyn. I have been a customer success manager working with the PDX platform for, I want to say it's going to be 5 years soon. I believe I started in 2021 after the pandemic shut down the supplier that I was working with. So similarly to Alex, I came to PDX from a different perspective, and Alex and I sort of bring opposite ends of this. I started using PDX when my company needed to find a syndication solution. We were working in the spreadsheets that our retailers were providing, and we just thought there has to be a better, quicker way to do this, a way that it results in less errors and that we can get our products to market more quickly. And enter PDX. It provided that solution for us, and I loved it so much I stayed. So I have been with PDX ever since. I love working with our customers, our users of the platform, showing them, the best way to use it, showing them how to make their data, better for their retailers. And so I won't go on and on about what I do, but I will give a fun fact like Alex did. My team here at Nexer loves this fact. I'm reminded of it quite frequently. I live in Connecticut, so not too far from Alex in Maine, also snowy here as well. And I live on a horse farm. So we have horses and dogs and all types of animals here, but everyone's favorite animals are 2 mini donkeys.
And the reason why we gave you some background of Kristyn and Alexander here is to add to today's webinar is that we will focus around PDX for syndication today. And as Kristyn said, that was what she used to do back in the days when she discovered the PDX and Stibo Systems, became part of the PDX team at Stibo Systems, and then lately, the last few years working with us at Nexer, helping content managers directly in their day-to-day work, and also training new teams to get on this solution, and some other managed services that we won't go into now, because I think maybe we should start and talk a little bit about what is the PDX and what it's only 3 letters, right? For some people in this webinar, it means nothing, and for some who have been using it, they are waiting for at the end of the webinar to hear what's coming up, what's new. So when we promoted and invited you to this webinar, we said that we will talk about how you can get on the Home Depot, Amazon, and Walmart and other sales channels like that with your product content faster and more efficient. But that's also always said. So maybe Alexander, maybe as an expert on PDX, please share something more about what is the PDX and what kind of business value, in your words, does it bring?
Absolutely. So just taking a step back, it can be helpful to just spell out what PDX is, because that sets the background of why it exists. So PDX is short for Product Data Exchange. And that tells the story, right? We have in our great global world of business we have today, there's businesses with data model X, data model Y, different languages, different industry standards, different requirements. Everybody's speaking their own language of business and data. And so there is a need in the world to facilitate that translation, that exchange of product information, so that the world of commerce can actually go around, right? Because if the person who makes the pair of shoes or the bag of chips can't get their product information over to the place where the end consumer can buy it, then that product doesn't make the manufacturer any money, and the retailer doesn't make any money from the actual end consumer buying it. So this exchange of product information is crucial to our world actually functioning. And a lot of times from the outside, when I talk to people in my personal life, they just assume it sort of happens magically, that everyone just uses the same attributes, or everyone uses the same place where they just dump all their data, and it all happens magically. But it doesn't. It's a lot of work. And for a lot of people out there in the world, especially in smaller, medium-sized businesses, it's a lot of manual work. Kristyn, you talked about how you were living that life of VLOOKUPs and maybe even macros if you were clever, but really fragile processes. I'm sure a lot of things living on your own personal hard drive at work. Coming from Wayfair, it was sort of the same thing where, I would get suppliers. But we were trying to focus on data quality improvement from the data we were getting from our suppliers, and they were bringing in, they had parcel information that was like, yeah, this couch is 1 by 1 inch cube, right? It's like, that's just not true. So there's this data exchange thing is so crucial to the world of commerce actually functioning. But it's not just about getting the products live. You also have to make sure that the product content is good, and it's all about a goal. Your goal is to actually end up making those business outcomes of getting those results of more conversion, more sales, because as a brand, that's your lifeblood, right? Is getting the products out there and actually having end consumers find your products interesting, compelling, and buying them. Being able to do that not just for one channel, because if you just only had to do it for one channel or one retailer, then maybe you don't need a syndication solution. But as a brand, as a manufacturer, as a supplier, or a distributor, you need to have as much coverage as possible, because we are not all shopping in the same place, right? I know a lot of us maybe shop on Amazon, but a lot of us maybe shop at Walmart, shop at Home Depot, or shop at any number of stores around the world too, right? Because it's not just North America we're talking about. Yeah, so that's a little bit of the background of PDX and sort of the why.
Thanks,
Kristyn,
Alex.
anything to add from your side?
But Kristyn, I mean, when we talk about that daily, challenges that Alex mentioned a little bit, and that we talked about when your background was brought up, tell us a little bit more about that. What kind of business value, or actually personal value, does this solution bring? Because you meet the users every day and hear their challenges and their stories, right? So give us some examples.
Sure. So, Alex brings up an interesting point that I think we don't talk about sort of enough. When you're looking at a solution like PDX, you're also looking at what it does for your business. So if my goal is Amazon, but my colleague's goal is Home Depot, sometimes when you're working in those spreadsheets and you're doing things sort of siloed separately from one another, you can have different data wind up in different places. So if my data is, like Alex said, a 1 by 1 cube is the size of my couch, but my colleague's data is that good data that gives the correct information, well, when a consumer looks online to see those products, they're going to look like different products potentially for them, or the information's not going to add up. And we all know, as people who use e-commerce platforms, that when you're shopping, you may be price checking, you may be seeing if someone has a promo code. So while I might choose Amazon first, I might end up at Home Depot. And for the supplier, that data should be the same across all retailers that they're selling to. And PDX helps make that happen. As far as other business value, we can talk about things like seeing a faster time to market or higher first pass acceptance rates. All of those things are something that PDX offers. But another business value that we don't touch on enough is the ability to get more business in two ways. One, better product data typically translates into more sales, but spending less time in those spreadsheets, spending less time going back and forth with your retailers, providing new data, providing different data, correcting data. If you don't have to do that, now you get to take your sales team or your, whoever's doing this for you and say, hey, go knock on some more doors, find us some more retailers, right? So you can take that time savings and translate it literally into more sales in more ways than one. Alex, I see you nodding. So would you like to add some more to this?
No, that's totally right. I mean, once you get out of like just being able to breathe, just getting by, in all the manual processes, that's whenever you start thinking about additional opportunities. So 100% agree there.
Awesome.
So up until today, it has been a lot about just keeping up speed with the fast moving retail. But I mean, the next step is, you use AI agents to shop, right? To search for products. So it's a fierce competition also with the type of product content you actually offer. And it's one thing to comply to what the sale channel wants, and at a minimum. What else can you do? I mean, what is it that the PDX offers that other syndication solution might not offer, or keep doing it manually? What is it that little extra? I mean, you mentioned it, of course, and you were kind of circling around it a little bit, but what I'm after is more, like enhanced content, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
People are talking about that a lot today, how that could be a divider from another, I sit there choosing from this or that, where should I buy it? And I would probably buy it where I get the most rich data, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how does the PDX support that and that strategy on winning with content?
Yeah, absolutely. So talking a little bit about enhanced content. So first, it goes by a bunch of different names, just for those who may be listening in, and enhanced content doesn't ring a bell. So there's enhanced content, there's rich content. Amazon calls it A+ content. You can also call it below the fold content. It's generally, anytime you're on a product details page, whether it's Amazon, Home Depot, Walmart, Best Buy, as you scroll down and you get past sort of the feature bullets and the descriptions, then you start seeing these infographics and brand stories, and comparison charts. Those types of things sort of all fit into this umbrella term of enhanced content. And the reason why this exists is because of two main problems that consumers ended up typically facing whenever all they got was the title and the description and the feature bullets. One is, who are you as a brand? So you're not just buying the product. Consumers say are not just buying the product, they're also buying the brand. Does it align with their values? Is it a brand that has a future? Or is it some no-name brand that's, one of a million on Amazon, right? So who are they? And the other one is, what plays a big role is these comparison charts, where you can sort of say, you've got 10 products as part of your portfolio brand, but I don't know which one serves my needs. So helping users because analysis paralysis, decision paralysis, this is a common thing. I mean, I'm sure we all encounter it whenever we're doing the Black Friday shopping for Christmas. It's like, I was just doing I was buying an espresso machine for my wife, and I was looking at this one brand, and I was looking at the different models, because they had like 20 different models, and I wasn't sure which one to choose. So I scrolled down, and fortunately they're using enhanced content. So I was able to find the right model based on what we wanted to get in terms of the size for our counter, whether it had a separate steaming wand, all those features that are beyond my understanding, but she would care about. And so it was a situation where if I hadn't had access to that information about what model was best, I probably wouldn't have bought anything at all. So just think about, as the data you're putting out there, are you giving this content to the end consumers wherever they're buying the products? If not, this is something that is very important, as you can see just in your daily life. I'm sure you guys use it too. When you buy stuff, you scroll down and see the additional information. And so Cool. That's the why. What is it? So in PDX syndication, there is a separate section called enhanced content, where the user can click into that and they can start creating these sort of templates of what those content sort of visuals should look like. And you can preview it across your different products. And it relies on a lot of the same sort of efficiency and streamlining technologies as PDX syndication does, where you have everything from mappings and transformations. You can do that, so it's at scale. So the typical story that most people face whenever they're trying to create this A+ content on Amazon is they go into Seller Central, they fill out one content record for one product, and then they have to do it for as many products as they want to sell. And the reason for that is, if you have a product that has it, it sells better than one that doesn't. And so you want as many of your products as possible to have it. And so with enhanced content as part of PDX syndication, you can actually link it to multiple products. You can assign it to an entire category of products. You can do whatever level of granularity you want across your portfolio. And then it dynamically generates those, what we call content records, those below the fold sort of stacks of modules, so that you can get the maximum uplift across your entire portfolio, saving you tons and tons of time. So enhanced content, one of the beauties of it is that it shares the exact same set of data that you're using for syndication. So let's say you've got your process with your other sales channels like Home Depot and Amazon and Walmart and any number of other ones you've got going in PDX syndication, and you've got that running smoothly. Getting enhanced content set up is not a huge project because it's got access to all the same data and it's part of the same UI. You just click into a separate section so you can focus on the type of content that it is, because it is a little bit different. It's not just a bunch of little attributes, a bunch of little fields. It is, a thing where you want to be able to visualize it, because ultimately it's a big picture you're creating for the consumer, but has access to all the same data. And so it's really a very smooth transition to start adding that to your syndication strategy.
Thank you, Alex. And Kristyn, I mean, how many times is this on the agenda in your calls? Do you feel that this has become more and more common, that the users of PDX and our prospects that we discuss the PDX with want to know how they can, take the next step in enriching their data to stand out, and how do they do it in an automatic and efficient way?
Absolutely. I think it is, as we've been sort of talking about on this call, everyone shops online now, right? Even if you do go to stores, you probably still do at least 50% of your shopping online for most people, if not more. And so, yeah, enhanced content is really something that people want to know more about. And as platforms like PDX syndication offer these types of services, it becomes easier for people. 5 or 6 years ago, when I was working with a supplier, we had to contract out for A+ content because it was just too much to do in-house. It was difficult to understand. You needed sort of an expert. PDX can help sort of close that gap. And I think the more people understand, as Alex sort of mentioned, looking at not just your products, but looking at your brand, right? So you talked about those espresso machines all from one company. Well, every time you look below the fold, it looks the same, right? It's making sure that you have your brand on point. People, when they look at your products, know which brand it comes from. You have that logo, you have those colors, you have all that information laid out in the same way, page after page. I think that's super important, and it's becoming more and more important for our suppliers. And I'm thrilled that PDX syndication is able to start offering this.
What else do we have to look forward to, Alex, when it comes to the PDX? What's down the line with AI capabilities and so on, and digital shelf analytics? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, yeah. So like you alluded to, we're trying to help the brands and the distributors that are using syndication do more than just get the product meeting the requirements and live. That's the starting point. So we've already talked about enhanced content, how that improves the quality of what we call the product experience that the end consumer interacts with, that gets them better results. So now they've they've got the product live, and they've got it in sort of enhanced in that experience. But how do they actually improve that over time? By taking in data for what reviews are saying, what sort of the reactions are from maybe even places like Reddit. Like what is the internet saying about your product? And then also, what about the data for sort of conversion rate, click-through rate, and page impressions rate? All these different sets of data can really take you to the next level. And so that's what we're digging into next. So we, over the course of the next calendar year, we're going to be, I don't have any timelines to share yet, but we're digging into building in all these value add capabilities, what you might call under the umbrella term of digital shelf analytics, as part of that full journey that product experience takes. So it's not just as a straight line, it's a circle. And so we're trying to build out that circle all the way. Additionally, in terms of AI, so we have relatively recently added an AI mapping capability, where as you are starting up with a channel, maybe one of 10 that you intend to do, as you continue to go through that list, we make suggestions based on AI for how you should map your data to the recipient, the channel's data model. And so, and it continues to improve over time. So, and it'll save you time in the initial setup, and it will make better improvements, better suggestions over time based on the AI learning about your data model and how you relate to other data models out there. That's the one we already have. So there's things that we're also adding in the near future. So in January, we're going to start working on another agentic workflow, as we're calling it, within syndication. Which will basically be something that helps you find the things about your data that should be fixed across all of your products, across all of your channels, and either make suggestions or take action directly based on you giving it permission. So as an example, let's say that I'm bringing in all of my data with inches as the dimensions for like the size of the package or something like that. And let's say I map all of that data to the different channels. And for some of the channels, they want it in metric, and some of them, they're fine with inches. What this agent will do, instead of you having to go through the process of finding and fixing those things, which is still way faster than doing VLOOKUPs and living in spreadsheet purgatory, it's still better, but we figured we could do even better than that. So it's find everything that should be addressed, and again, either tell you what you should do or make those changes with your permission, so that you can, with just maybe a couple of clicks, as opposed to having to think about your channels individually, just really solve all those problems in one go. We're also looking at some other things too. So for we were talking about enhanced content just a bit ago, and like Kristyn, you mentioned having to outsource to agencies to write that content. There's obviously a huge interest across the world in the generation of content using AI. So coming up with marketing material, whether it's the images or the feature bullets or the descriptions or any of these different things, we are going to be injecting AI generation capabilities for those text fields, as well as that's going to be the first use case that we're going to be adding for AI content generation within syndication. It'll be enhanced content, AI content generation. Additionally, we're going to be digging into context changing generation for images. So let's say you've got your picture of your espresso machine and you've just got the white background shot. For like a lifestyle image, you want it on a countertop with maybe some people out of frame holding a little glass full with the espresso. So using AI to effectively take a basic product image and then put it into different contexts, saving your team who knows how many dollars and hours actually creating this content. You'd have to hire a photographer, you'd have to, or an agency that even figures out what you should do. So just helping the businesses that want to streamline and create a whole bunch of efficiency for their process and content improvement, building into the app rather than there being a bunch of separate outside processes that have nothing to do and you just bring it in. We do it for you.
Sounds great. Right, Kristyn?
It sounds wonderful. We're making, it sounds like you're making PDX sort of a one-stop shop for a lot of things. I think that's awesome. I'm very excited to hear all of this.
And maybe you have several sales channels, and that's also another thing we haven't touched on, Kristyn, how you manage several channels in one place. It's also a way of reducing time, right?
Yeah, so let's say, we'll talk about the three that we've mentioned today, Walmart, Amazon, and Home Depot. If you're selling to all three, whether you have one person handling all of that syndication or you have 3 different people at your company handling it, you have one set of master data, right? So that should be your best source of data. That should be your data's truth. That should be the data. But Amazon might want it in a different way than Home Depot wants it. Alex, mentioned something that I talk about all the time, dimensional data. You might want it in inches. You might need it in metric, all of those things. So rather than having a ton of data that a bunch of different people need to touch that all kind of says the same thing, but in a different way, you can use that one set of master data to send out product data across all 3 of those retail channels. And if you have 3 people doing it, that's fine, because they're leaving the master data alone and they're only changing what they need to change to get it to the retail level. So whether it's using value transformations or, adding inches at the end of what would typically in your master data just be numerical, there's a bunch of different ways to do that, but you don't have to have multiple files with the master data written out in a specific way for each retailer. And it just helps, helps your team work more efficiently together, I think.
Thank you, Kristyn. And to wrap this up a little bit, Kristyn and me are definitely open to discuss why you should use the PDX if you're not using it already today, how we can help you, right, Kristyn? Your title
Absolutely.
is the Customer Success Manager for a reason.
Yeah,
You help our customers today, tomorrow, and future customers to succeed on the PDX and with the PDX. That's what you do. And so if you want to book a meeting on an actual issue you have on the PDX, reach out to Kristyn as well, of course. And thank you, Alexander, for being our guest here today. But we are looking into a new year with new opportunities, all of us. And with that said, we will run a few more webinars in the upcoming months. And this one was mostly and most about how to syndicate product data and product content to sales channels. But upcoming webinars will also include how to onboard supply data, the other side of it, how the sales channels or you as a sales channel or a distributor can regulate what kind of data you need and want. So that's coming up. So keep following us, Nexer Data Management, as a Stibo Systems partner, and also Stibo Systems, of course, to see what kind of interesting webinars we have in the pipe. We thank you for joining us today. And again, thank you, Kristyn and Alex. It's been really a pleasure having you. Take care, everybody.